Hi, welcome to week 2. Last week when we studied Freud, we saw that the unconscious has been discovered as a place of repressed desires and drives, and that the rational or logical mind has been worked on by censorship so that a lot of these repressions have been hidden. That in dream, logic and repression are suppressed, and some of these passions and desires break through, but in a new form. And the dream is not just simply what it is, but it contains a lot of symbols for repressed thoughts and desires. So they're like linkages from a homepage. And this week, with André Breton and the Surrealists, we're seeing that he embraces Freud's concept of dreams as being as important as reality and the idea of the unconscious, but expands the unconscious to be the seed of all desire, passion, artistic creation, creativity, and really exalts in it as a wonderful thing. And he thinks that we can beat the process of censorship through kind of a free speech or rapid speech where we don't think too much about it, or rapid automatic writing where you just pick up a pen and you just write for 5 or 10 minutes on a topic. You can be any topic. You can let your mind drift. You could pick a topic of dreams themselves and just give yourself 10 minutes to just write constantly as fast as you can, not worrying about what you're saying, not even thinking about what you're saying. Just let your ideas flow. This is kind of like the 19th century idea of the muse or the creative spirit that somehow exists outside of us, that there's a flow. So I'd like you to try this. Just, pick up your pen, take a topic like dreams or reason or art, and just write for 10 minutes, just anything, it doesn't matter what you write. And then go back and circle any good ideas you might have. You might find that there's something to think further about. This is often called pre-writing. It started with Breton, and nowadays it's become kind of a standard process in the writing process. Excuse me. So Breton is a surrealist, and he thinks that through writing or speaking or creating art that we can let the passion and creativity of the unconscious come forward. And he's a critic of reason. Remember, the 19th century was the age of reason and logic. We have philosophers like Hegel telling us that, there's a pattern of reason in history. So his statement that reason is to be criticized is a really great break, and it's the beginning of modernism as we know it. And in many ways, we're still in the modernist project as we look to break free from some of the confines of pure reason. And so as we move into the surrealist paintings, I want you to think especially about Dali and how their work can be considered as surrealist work, or a project that is broken free from reason, that contains symbols that refer to some other greater idea, whether it's personal or social or cultural. And especially with Dali, we have the reading from Dali's autobiography, and I want you to think about how Dali worked as an artist. We can see in this particular reading that he lived half in a dream state, and that the dream state, in fact, helped him produce his monumental sculpture, if you will, when he pours the plaster down the staircase, and how it's all a recreation of his childhood influences and also of the dreams. He actually says, I was in the power of the dream work at one point. And as you read that, pay attention to how he switches time, because he'll be talking about the time when the king came to the residencia, and then he'll talk about when he was a child dressed in an ermine cape. Then he'll talk about a class where he tried to paint a naked little girl, and then he'll talk about another past where he wanted to get an ermine cape and paint the girl in an ermine cape, and how he prepared a canvas and it was a failure. Then he talks about meeting the king and how he feels like somehow he is special to the king and he is kingly. And goes back to his room and sleeps in the sunlight on his eyes. And he wakes up and goes back to the residencia and, has this great moment where he, pours the plaster down the stairs. And we would all think of that as vandalism and not a very nice thing to do. But it kind of shows his process where he didn't care about normal morality. He didn't care about the impact on other people of his art, that his art was purely egocentric, and that he was, in fact, a very egocentric man, and that as he creates his art and then accumulates in art, where he pours paint over his paintings, and he paints a new painting which is discovered by the other members of the residencia, and he becomes famous, but that just falls apart. Look at how his concept of time interweaves all of these. He goes back and forth, and we're going to be having a discussion about this reading, which I want you to fill out and send to me. And think carefully about the time. You can use your book as you fill out the discussion. Again, it's really more of a quiz until I get my software loaded where we can have a real discussion. And think about Dali that way. And then as you move on to Muriel and Picasso, look at their websites, look at the websites I've posted, and see if you can find a painting by one of these men. And we're going to be using that painting to write a description of a surrealist painting. And we're going to try and look at how we can connect the personal with the common ground. Back last week we read about writing stories that maybe start out personal, but somehow they connect with more general ideas. So, find a painting that you can personally connect with, and then maybe you can describe it and make some more general kinds of observations about that painting. And that'll be due in a week, and I'll be posting a description of that probably today or tomorrow. So Surrealism is a fresh new look. It might seem more familiar to you because you've probably seen some of Dali's famous paintings, and of course Picasso. Maybe not so much Miro, but he's definitely very youthful, invigorating, fun, reminds me of childhood. He took childhood as his inspiration. Look at the different paintings, look at the surreal paintings on the website, and see if any of them appeal to you. And remember, it doesn't have to be a logical, rational explanation. You can just, talk about it in terms of emotional experience. I have a reading posted about Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, which kind of models responses that you might write in your paper, and you'll be seeing that in the next couple of days if it's not there already in your modules. And I posted things in the modules with dates on them, but of course you can work through them at your own pace. There's no real cutoff for any of these except for the journals and some of the quizzes. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, contact me. Thank you very much.